The crimson desert stretched endlessly under twin suns, its silence broken only by the whisper of wind through ancient stone. Marcus wiped sweat from his brow as he approached the towering spires that had haunted his dreams for months. The archaeological team had dismissed his theories about this place, calling him obsessed, but he knew something extraordinary waited here. The temple rose from the sands like a sleeping giant, its crystalline walls reflecting light in impossible patterns. Strange symbols pulsed along the entrance, responding to his presence with a soft, welcoming glow. Marcus hesitated at the threshold, his heart racing with anticipation and something deeper recognition. As if he had been here before in another lifetime, inside, the air hummed with energy. Bioluminescent vines crawled along walls covered in intricate murals depicting beings of ethereal beauty interacting with humans in scenes of worship and reverence. At the temple's heart lay a circular chamber where time seemed suspended, and there she waited. Celeste stood motionless in the center, her form both alien and achingly beautiful. Her skin shimmered with an inner light that shifted from pearl to silver, and her hair flowed like liquid starlight down her shoulders. She wore robes that seemed woven from moonbeams, and her eyes ancient, knowing, infinitely sad, opened as he entered. "You have come," she said, her voice like music played on crystal chimes. After so many centuries, a child of the bloodline returns. Marcus found his voice with difficulty. "I don't understand. What bloodline? What is this place?" She moved toward him with fluid grace, each step causing the floor beneath to bloom with gentle light. "This is the Temple of Unity, where my people once shared sacred bonds with yours. I am Celeste, keeper of the ancient covenant, and you." She reached out, her fingers stopping just short of his face. "You carry their essence in your very soul." Moment her fingertips brushed his cheek. Visions exploded through Marcus's mind. He saw vast ships descending from the stars, saw beings like Celeste greeting humans with open arms, saw ceremonies where two species joined in harmony and understanding. But he also saw the departure, the tears, the promise to return that had never been fulfilled. "Your people left," he whispered, understanding flooding through him. "We had no choice. Plague threatened to destroy both our kinds if we remained. But we left guardians, watchers, those who would maintain the sacred places until the time came for reunion." Her hand traced the air near his heart. "The time is now, Marcus, of the faithful line." He stepped closer, drawn by forces beyond his comprehension. "Why me? Why now?" Celeste's expression softened, revealing vulnerability beneath her divine bearing. "'Cause I have waited alone for 800 years, growing weaker with each passing season. My people believed the covenant was broken forever, but I felt your dreams calling across the void. I knew one would come who could rekindle what was lost." The space between them seemed to crackle with energy. Marcus felt his rational mind surrendering to something primal and profound. "What do you need from me?" "A ritual of recognition. The ceremony that will prove to my people that humanity is ready for our return." She moved closer still, close, enough that he could feel the warmth radiating from her luminescent skin. "But no, this once begun, there is no turning back. You will be changed, as will I." Marcus looked into her ancient eyes and saw not just beauty but loneliness that matched his own. He had spent his life searching for meaning among ruins and artifacts, never understanding that he was searching for her. "Then let's begin." Celeste smiled, and for the first time in centuries, hope flickered in her celestial features. She placed both hands on his chest, and the temple around them began to sing with harmonious energy. "Close your eyes, descendant of the stars. Let me show you what your ancestors knew." As darkness claimed his vision, Marcus felt reality shift and change, preparing him for a journey that would transform everything he thought he knew about love, destiny, and the infinite possibilities that existed between the stars. The temple. Walls pulsed with increasing intensity as Celeste began the ancient ceremony. Marcus felt his consciousness expanding, touching memories that weren't his own, but somehow belonged to him. Through their joined hands, she shared the sacred knowledge of her people, the Luminari, and their long-forgotten bond with humanity. "Feel what your ancestors felt," she whispered, her voice echoing in dimensions beyond sound. Remember what was lost.
Us.
The ritual required trust, absolute, and as Marcus surrendered to her guidance, his body began to resonate with energies that had lain dormant in his bloodline for generations. Celeste watched in wonder as marks similar to her own began to appear along his arms, not the full luminescence of her kind, but enough to prove his heritage. The blood remembers, she breathed, her fingers tracing the glowing patterns. You are truly one of the chosen line. But the ritual demanded more than recognition. It required the sharing of essence, the joining of two souls across the vast divide of species and time. Celeste's robes began to dissolve into particles of light, revealing skin that seemed crafted from stardust and dreams. She felt vulnerable. For the first time in centuries, it's no longer the untouchable goddess, but a being capable of desire and need. Marcus opened his eyes to find her standing before him in radiant vulnerability. The marks on his skin pulsed in rhythm with hers, creating a visual symphony of connection that filled the chamber with warm, golden light. He reached for her slowly, reverently, understanding that this moment was sacred beyond measure. "You're beautiful," he whispered, his voice thick with emotion he couldn't name. When their lips met, the temple itself seemed to sigh with relief. The kiss was gentle at first, tentative, but as their energies intertwined, it deepened into something that transcended physical connection. Through their touch, Marcus experienced what it meant to be truly seen, truly understood, while Celeste felt the fierce, burning passion that made humanity so remarkably alive. She guided him to the raised dais at the chamber's center, where crystalline formations created a bed of living light. As they lay together, skin against luminous skin, the ritual reached its crucial phase. Every touch generated cascades of energy that flowed between them, creating bonds that would last beyond lifetimes. "This is how we join," she explained softly, her breath warm against his ear. "Not just bodies, but souls, minds, the very essence of our beings." Marcus felt himself changing as their intimacy deepened. The luminary essence within him awakened fully, enhancing every sensation, until he could perceive the universe itself through her consciousness. He saw her people's dying world, felt their desperate hope that the ancient covenant might still save them, understood the terrible loneliness she had endured waiting for this moment. In return, she experienced human emotion in all its raw intensity. Passion, the longing, the fierce determination that drove his species to reach for the stars. Through him, she remembered why her people had once loved humanity so deeply, why they had risked everything to form their sacred bond. Their coupling became more than physical union. It was the bridging of two universes, the healing of an ancient wound that had separated their kinds for far too long. As they moved together in perfect harmony, the temple responded, its crystalline heart beginning to pulse with renewed life after centuries of dormancy. "Marcus," she gasped, her voice filled with wonder and growing passion, "I feel... I feel everything." The climax of their joining sent shock waves of energy throughout the temple and beyond, reaching across space to touch the distant luminar homeworld. For the first time in 800 years, her people felt the call of the covenant, the signal that their ancient partners had not forgotten, that love could indeed bridge any distance. As they lay entwined in the afterglow, both transformed. By what they had shared, Celeste's luminescence had softened to match his newly awakened glow. They were no longer alien and human, but something new to halves of a whole that had finally been reunited. "What happens now?" Marcus asked, his fingers tracing patterns of light across her skin. She smiled, and in that smile was both promise and warning. "Now, beloved of my heart, we face the consequences of what we have awakened. My people will come, and not all will welcome what we have begun." 3 days passed in the temple sanctuary, 3 days where Marcus and Celeste existed in a bubble of perfect intimacy and discovery. But their paradise was shattered when the first ships appeared in the desert skies, lick vessels of living metal that descended like silver tears from the stars. Celeste's radiance dimmed as she sensed her people's approach. "They come sooner than I hoped," she whispered, her expression troubled. The High Council felt our joining across the void. Pulled her closer, his protective instincts flaring. Are we in danger? Not danger, exactly. But they will not understand what has passed between us. Well, to them, I am Celeste the Pure, the sacred guardian who has maintained perfect isolation for 8 centuries. They cannot know that I— She hesitated, vulnerability flickering across her features. That you what? That I have fallen in love with a mortal. The words escaped her like a confession she had been. Afraid to voice even to herself, their conversation was interrupted by the appearance of 3 figures in the temple entrance stall. Luminous beings whose presence filled the chamber with cold, judging light. Their leader, a being of terrible beauty with skin like polished silver, spoke in the Luminari tongue, her words like ice cracking. Celeste responded in the same language, her voice defensive but respectful. Marcus didn't need translation to understand the tension crackling between them. The visitor's gazes swept over him with barely concealed disdain, focusing on the marks that still glowed faintly on his skin.
Ow.
They questioned the legitimacy of our bond, Celeste translated, her jaw set stubbornly. They say the ritual was incomplete, corrupted by ... primitive emotions. The silver-skinned leader stepped forward, her attention fixed on Celeste with disappointed authority. When she spoke again, her words carried the weight of absolute command. What does she want? Marcus demanded, moving to stand beside Celeste. Wants me to return with them immediately? To undergo purification? To cleanse me of human contamination? Celeste's light flared with anger. She says our joining was a mistake that threatens the sacred nature of the covenant. Marcus felt fury building in his chest. You're not contaminated. What we have is beautiful, pure in ways they can't understand. The leader's attention snapped to him, and when she spoke, her words were in accented but understandable English. You presume to lecture the High Priestess Vela on the nature of purity, little human? You who have defiled our sacred guardian? With your crude lusts? Enough. Celeste's voice rang with authority that made even the Luminar visitors step back. Her radiance blazed like a star, transforming her from gentle goddess to fierce protector. I am not defiled. I am awakened. For 800 years I have maintained your precious isolation, and what has it brought? Are people dying? Our light fading? Our purpose lost? She moved to Marcus's side, taking his hand in hers. The moment their skin touched, both began to glow with harmonious energy that filled the chamber with warmth and life. This human has shown me what we forgot in our pursuit of perfection, that love is not contamination, but completion. Through him I remember why our ancestors chose to bond with humanity. High Priestess Vela's expression hardened. You speak of completion? Look at yourself, Celeste. Your pure light is dimmed by mortal passion. You burn with needs that make you weak, vulnerable. This is not evolution, it is degradation. Then let me show you what degradation looks like, Celeste said, her voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. She turned to Marcus, cupping his face in her hands. Kiss me, she commanded softly. Show them what human love can do. Marcus didn't hesitate. He pulled her against him, claiming her lips in a kiss that spoke of possession, desire, and absolute devotion. But more than passion, it held defiance, a declaration that their love was stronger than fear, judgment, or ancient prejudice. The effect was instantaneous. Their combined energy exploded outward in waves of golden light that made the temple itself sing with joy. The Luminar visitors staggered back as the power of their union washed over them, revealing in stark clarity what they had lost in their pursuit of sterile perfection. When the kiss ended, both Marcus and Celeste blazed. With inner fire that outshone even Vela's silver radiance, they stood together, transformed and transforming. Proving that love did not diminish, it multiplied, creating something greater than the sum of its parts. This is what you fear, Celeste said, her voice carrying across dimensions. Not contamination, but connection. It's not weakness, but strength beyond your understanding. My bond with Marcus has not made me less than I was. It has made us both more than we ever imagined possible. Vela's composed mask finally cracked, revealing the fear and longing beneath it. And what of duty? What of the covenant that has sustained our people for millennia? The covenant was never about isolation. Marcus spoke, his voice carrying new authority. It was about unity. And that's exactly what Celeste and I represent, the bridge between our peoples that your ancestors always intended. As if summoned by his words, the temple walls began displaying the ancient murals with new clarity, showing scenes of Luminari and humans working together, creating wonders that neither could achieve alone. The message was unmistakable. Separation had been the aberration, not connection. The confrontation in the temple had awakened something deeper than mere attraction between Marcus and Celeste. As the days passed and more Luminari ships gathered in the desert sky, their bond evolved from passionate discovery to unshakable devotion that neither time nor opposition could diminish. High Priestess Vila had withdrawn to consider what she had witnessed, but her silence carried ominous weight. Other members of the High Council arrived, beings of such ancient power that their presence alone made the very air crystallize with otherworldly energy. Yes. They came not to negotiate, but to reclaim what they saw as their wayward daughter. They plan to take me by force if necessary, Celeste confided to Marcus as they stood on the temple's highest balcony, watching the alien fleet maneuver in the star-filled sky. The Council believes our bond threatens the very foundation of Luminari society. Marcus pulled her closer, his mortal warmth a comforting anchor against her divine radiance. Let them come. They'll have to go through me first. She smiled sadly at his fierce protectiveness. My beloved warrior, your courage honors me, but you don't understand what we face. These are beings who have lived since the birth of stars, who command forces that could reshape entire worlds. Your human strength, remarkable as it is, cannot stand against such power. Then we'll find another way, he said, turning to face her fully. I didn't wait my entire life to find you just to lose you to some cosmic bureaucracy. There has to be something we can do. Their discussion was interrupted by a pulse of energy that made the temple walls themselves hum with anticipation. In the central chamber below, a figure was materializing, not through technological transport, but through sheer force of will. The newcomer was ancient beyond measure, his form shifting between solid matter and pure light. Celeste whispered, her radiance dimming instinctively in deference. The founder of our civilization, the one who first made contact with humanity eons ago. If he has come personally, ... They descended to the chamber where the legendary figure waited, his presence so profound that reality itself seemed to bend. Around him, when he spoke, his voice carried the weight of eternity. Child of light, he addressed Celeste, you have created quite a disturbance across the cosmos. Your experiment with this human has reached even the far realms, causing ripples that threaten the very stability of the covenant. Marcus stepped protectively in front of Celeste, though he knew the gesture was meaningless against such power. Our love isn't an experiment. It's real, and it's produced something beautiful, a bridge between our species that could benefit both. The Prime Architect's attention shifted to him, and Marcus felt his mind being examined with surgical precision. But instead of the dismissal, he expected something like surprise flickered across the ancient being's features. Interesting. You do indeed carry the deep markers, stronger than any I have seen since the first bonding millennia ago. He paused, seeming to reach some internal decision.
Ow.
Very well, I will offer you both a choice, though neither option will be easy. Celeste moved to stand beside Marcus, their hands intertwining. We're listening. First option, Celeste returns. With us immediately, she will undergo the ritual of severance, cutting all bonds with humanity forever. In return, our people will withdraw and leave Earth in peace. Marcus will retain his awakened abilities, but live out his mortal span alone, remembered only as the last to touch the divine. The second option hung in the air, like a blade ready to fall. Or, Marcus prompted, or you both undergo the trial of Unitia test that has not been attempted in over 3,000 years. If you succeed, you will prove that your bond transcends mere attraction, that it represents a true evolution of the covenant. Both our species will be forever changed, elevated by what you have created together. And if we fail, Celeste asked quietly, then you both die, and with you dies any hope of reuniting our peoples. The luminary will fade into distant memory, and humanity will face the coming darkness alone. The weight of the decision pressed down on them like the gravity of a dying star. They held each other tighter, drawing strength from their connection, while understanding that the fate of two entire civilizations now rested on their choice. What does the trial involve? Marcus asked. The Prime Architect's form shimmered, revealing glimpses of the cosmic forces he commanded. You must journey to the heart of all things, where the original covenant was forged. There you will face not just external challenges, but the deepest fears and doubts within your own souls. The heart will test whether your love is strong enough to serve as the foundation for a new age of unity between the stars. Marcus and Celeste looked at each other, seeing their own determination reflected in the other's eyes. No words were needed, they had found something worth risking everything. "For we accept," they said in unison, their voices harmonizing in perfect accord. The Prime Architect nodded slowly. "Then let the trial of unity begin. But know this, once you enter the heart of all things, there is no retreat. You will emerge victorious and transformed, or you will not emerge at all." As cosmic forces began to gather around them, Marcus and Celeste held each other close, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Their love had already changed them both beyond recognition. It would be tested to determine if it could change the universe itself. The heart of all things existed beyond physical space. In a realm where thought became reality and emotion held the power to reshape existence itself. Marcus and Celeste found themselves standing on a crystalline platform suspended in an infinite void filled with swirling galaxies and newborn stars. The Prime Architect's voice echoed around them, speaking from everywhere and nowhere at once. "Welcome to the source of all creation, where the first covenant between our peoples was forged in the dawn of time. Here your bond will be tested not by force but by truth." The platform beneath them began to shift and change, showing scenes from their respective pasts: Marcus's lonely childhood, his obsessive search for meaning among ancient ruins, his dreams of finding something greater than himself. For Celeste, they witnessed centuries of isolation, the gradual dimming of hope as her people grew more distant and cold, her desperate faith that the covenant could somehow be renewed. "Your individual pain brought you together," the cosmic voice continued. "But can your love transcend personal need? Can it become something that serves not just your own hearts, but the greater good of all creation?" The first test materialized around them, visions of what would happen if they failed. They saw the luminary homeworld growing darker as their race slowly died out, their ancient wisdom lost forever. They saw Earth facing cosmic threats alone, humanity's potential forever limited by their isolation from the greater galactic community. "Choose your own happiness, and let civilizations fall, or sacrifice what you have found for the greater good," the voice challenged. This is the heart of every covenant, the willingness to put universal harmony above personal desire. Marcus felt Celeste's hand tighten in his as they faced this impossible choice. But as he looked into her luminous eyes, he realized the truth that the test was trying to reveal. "It's a false choice," he said aloud, his voice carrying across the cosmic void. "Love isn't about sacrifice, it's about expansion. Our happiness doesn't diminish others, it creates more happiness. Our bond doesn't weaken our peoples, it makes them stronger." Celeste's radiance blazed as she understood. You don't have to choose between love and duty because they are the same thing. By honoring what we feel for each other, we honor the original spirit of the covenant itself. The void around them began to change, responding to their insight. The platform expanded, showing not just their two worlds, but countless others scattered throughout the galaxy, all of them isolated. All of them diminished by the barriers that kept intelligent species apart. "Then show us," the Prime Architect commanded. "If love is truly the bridge between worlds, demonstrate its power. Unite not just your hearts, but your very beings. Become the living symbol of what the covenant was always meant to achieve." Marcus and Celeste moved toward each other without hesitation. Their kiss began gently, reverently, but quickly deepened into something that transcended physical connection. As their energies merged completely, their individual selves began to dissolve and reform into something greater, not the loss of identity, but the discovery of unity that preserved uniqueness while creating perfect harmony. The transformation that followed was visible across dimensions. Their love became a beacon that reached every world, every civilization, every heart that had ever yearned for connection across the vast loneliness of space. Marcus felt himself becoming something more than human, while retaining everything that made him uniquely himself. Celeste experienced mortality's precious intensity, while keeping her divine perspective intact. Together they had become the bridge-living proof that differences could be celebrated rather than feared, that love could indeed conquer the barriers that separated all thinking beings throughout the cosmos. The heart of all things responded to their transformation with a pulse of energy that rippled across reality itself. Ancient barriers between species began to dissolve. Worlds that had hidden in isolation for millennia opened their arms to the stars. The galaxy itself began to sing with the harmony of countless voices joining in celebration of connection rediscovered. When the light faded, Marcus and Celeste found themselves back in the temple, but everything had changed. The desert around them bloomed with impossible flowers, and the sky showed not one sun, but many. As Earth's solar system had been gently relocated to become the heart of a growing galactic community, High Priestess Vela and the other luminary observers knelt in reverence, their cold perfection replaced by warm recognition of what love could achieve. The Prime Architect materialized one final time, his ancient features showing something that might have been a smile. "The covenant is renewed," he declared, his voice carrying to every world in the galaxy. "Let this mark the beginning of a new age, where unity and diversity dance together among the stars." As the cosmic witnesses departed to spread word of the new covenant throughout the galaxy, Marcus and Celeste remained in their temple, transformed into a living symbol of interspecies harmony. They were no longer just lovers but ambassadors, teachers and guides for the countless beings who would follow in their footsteps. "Do you regret it?" Marcus asked, as they watched the first ships from distant worlds approaching through Earth's atmosphere. "Giving up your divine isolation?" Celeste laughed, the sound carrying joy across dimensions. "My beloved, I was never truly divine until I learned to love as mortals do. And you have never been merely mortal, you carry the spark of infinity in your soul." Their kiss sealed not just their own eternal bond, but the promise of a universe where love would always find a way to bridge any distance, overcome any barrier, and unite all hearts under the vast canopy of stars. The never-ending story-maker had created something perfecta, love that would inspire countless generations to reach across the void and discover that in connection, in unity, in the courage to love without boundaries, lay the true destiny of all conscious beings throughout the infinite cosmos.